From the Opopco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. Time for our 5 and 5 segment, Barry. We've got 5 topics, about a minute each. Let's get right to it here. Let's start with Mike Rice, the Rutgers coach. Is he worse than Bob Knight?
Well, now that's a loaded question. Worse than, here's the problem. Mike Rice, we have a very limited data on Mike Rice. Frankly, before 2 days ago, most of us couldn't tell you who Mike Rice was or who the Rutgers coach was. Everybody knew about Bobby Knight and his many sins. Here's the biggest difference that I see in the two. Bobby Knight is a legend and an icon because of his victories and his championships. Mike Rice has won squat at Rutgers. If Mike Rice had won the Big East a couple of years, if he'd been to the Sweet 16 3 times in the last 5 years, guess who would be coaching Rutgers basketball today? Mike Rice.
You think so?
Yes, I do.
Wow, he was fired after the videotapes came to light of him throwing basketballs at players' heads, at players' feet, really using some language that would curl your hair, frankly. Just some really, some stuff that really crossed a line and was fired on Wednesday morning. I think there's a chance it is worse than Bob Knight, and here's why, is because practice was being filmed. And you would guess it was being filmed at the request of the head coach, Mike Rice. And yet there he was doing all of this to his players. And it makes you wonder, if he's doing that, knowing that a video camera's rolling, taping practice, now obviously he didn't expect it to be made public to the entire world, but if he's doing that and he knows it's being videotaped, what's he doing in the locker room? What's he saying in the locker room? What's he saying behind closed doors to guys in meetings after they screw up? I mean, that's the type of thing that just really has me wondering, what lines were crossed in private that we didn't even see on the videotape. So I'm going to say worse than Bob Knight, but I tell you what, those are two guys that could use some serious anger management. All right, Barry, what about this? Another coach behaving badly. Kim Mulkey, what should her punishment be?
Well, you could do a lot of things. You could fine her for her outburst against the officiating. You could suspend her a game or two. Personally, I'd prefer something like make her wear clothes out of Jody Conrad's wardrobe for the 10 games or something. That would get her. That would straighten her up. But I don't know. Here's the deal. Kim Mulkey embarrassed her school and embarrassed herself, I thought, the way she acted Sunday night after Baylor's loss to Louisville in the NCAA tournament. Here's the truth. All coaches feel that way at some point in their career. They feel like the officials messed up a game, cost them a game, cost them perhaps a championship. All coaches go through those emotions, and I can even give Kim some slack for her outburst there on the court when I thought she was going to disrobe. But 20 minutes after the game, when you've had time to settle down, you've got to be measured in your comments. You've got to know what you can say and what you can't say, and to attack the credibility of the sport and the officiating, I think is completely wrong. This is not a Pac-12 situation. This is not a case of where we see a conspiracy against Baylor. The referees just made some calls. Some of them didn't go Baylor's way. Kim Mulkey is an experienced enough coach. She knows she can't talk like that.
Well, and the other thing is that Louisville was the one that had 3 players foul out. Let's not kid ourselves here. There were fouls called both ways that both coaches were likely upset about. In fact, Louisville coach Jeff Walz, he's voiced some displeasure with the officiating. Now, obviously, his displeasure was different than what Kim Mulkey, the Baylor coach, was not happy about. But clearly, it was a physical game, those sorts of things. But as far as punishment, Barry, you bring up the fact that she questioned the credibility of the game. To me, that warrants some pretty serious looking if you're the NCAA, which I think they're the ones that would dole out this punishment since it happened during the NCAA. I would say suspend her a game or two from the next time she's in the tournament. I think this was a pretty serious sin, and I think it should be dealt with some pretty serious punishment. All right, let's do a true-false, Barry. True or false? The Thunder will catch the Spurs.
I'm going to say false. The Spurs have a pretty favorable schedule down the stretch. Now, the Thunder has their own destiny in front of them. If the Thunder wins out, they're number 1 in the West because they're only 1 back in the loss column, and they play the Spurs. And they'd have the tiebreaker. So Thunder's going to be in good shape if they win out. But I just think Thunder goes to Indiana, they go to Golden State, they go to Utah. Thunder still has to go to some places, teams that are really scrapping for things to play for. I doubt the Thunder wins out, even if they beat the Spurs.
Well, and the Spurs look like they may be setting some of their older players. Tim Duncan has been sat some games. Manu Ginobili's out with injury right now, so they don't have a full complement of players. But I tell you what, their next line of guys, you know, the sort of the secondary guys. I'm not talking about second team. I'm talking about the guys that aren't Ginobili, Parker, Duncan. They're pretty good too. And you know, you look at that game earlier in the year when Popovich sent home those three, and they nearly won with Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard and some other guys. So I think that group is better this year than they were a year ago. I think because of that, even if the Thunder plays pretty well down the stretch, I still think the Spurs will win the West just because their next guys have really come on and been really, really good. All right, our fun question of the week, Barry. Hey, how much would you pay to see this year's Final Four? Apparently, cheapest tickets out there on StubHub are about $650 for all the games, but they run as high as $17,500. How much would you pay?
Well, depending on where the tickets are.
Choke on it. Yeah, I know.
Depending on where the tickets are, I would pay as high as $4.75. I mean, for crying out loud, 2 out of every 3 games, you don't have a team that shoots 40% from the field, and that includes the winner. We've had very few good games in this NCAA tournament. It's been a dud. The Sweet 16 round, where we eliminated 12 teams, we had 2 good games and 3 moderately decent games, and we had 7 blowouts. It's been a bad tournament. Now, if you set me courtside and I got a Nicholson seats, you know, I could enjoy that. But you send me up high up in the, where the heck's the tournament? Atlanta, the Georgia Dome. You set me in the upper deck at the Georgia Dome, you're going to have to pay me to go. I don't understand. You know, college basketball has some serious problems. DeLoss Dodds was not all wrong when he said it's a sport in shambles. You're not getting a lot of my money to go to the Final Four.
Not getting $17,000 for a ticket?
No, man.
Oh, yeah. No, I wouldn't pay that much either. I wouldn't pay the lowest price for tickets, and those are upper deck seats. You know, a lot of the Final Four is about, obviously, loyalty. If you're a fan of the school, and like if you're a Wichita State fan, I mean, this is something that you've not seen in your lifetime, and you may never see again in your lifetime. So maybe you do shell out some bucks. But if you're just an average fan, I'd have a hard time paying. Yeah, I don't know if I might go $20, $40 if I had the chance to go, just depending on where the seats were. But if you get a chance to sit at home and watch on your big screen TV and get the replays and all the things and not have to pay to park, not have to deal with all the crowds, it's hard not to just want to sit at home and watch on your TV as opposed to paying $17,000 for tickets. All right, Barry, lastly, let's talk about our state's college basketball season. Give it a grade for this year.
I am going to say a B. Because I thought, you know, when I saw this question, I thought, well, I'll give each team a grade. Give probably OU a B. I thought it was a good season, better than I thought. Got to the tournament, however, ended very disappointingly. You know, bad loss with Texas, in the season at TCU with a loss, losing the Big 12 tournament, lose at San Diego State in a toss-up game. OSU, excellent year, but then flames out in the NCAA tournament as a 5 seed. Bad draw with Oregon, everybody knows that, but still, you know, hard to give anybody an A. So I'll give them both a B. It's a good season, not a great season.
Yeah, I think good solid B is where I am as well. And, you know, obviously had one of the teams figured out a way to win a game or two in the NCAA tournament, if our interest would have been local in the NCAA tournament for more than a couple days, you know, even into the first weekend, for crying out loud, we didn't have a team by the first weekend of the tournament. You know, maybe you'd say maybe an A-, but not having a team able to win even a game in the NCAA tournament, really kind of having some postseason struggles. You know, when you look at the March as a month, it was not good for either team down the stretch, had their stumbles. So I think because of that, you got to go with a B. But Barry, it was good to see the teams back in the NCAA tournament. And I hope that continues, because those years we didn't have them wasn't nearly as fun as it was this year.
Total drag.
Total drag. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.